Hello and welcome to this high-level 1v1 game between notmjblair, who I think is in the top 20, playing his first Spanish, which is a meta div. In the tournaments, at least, it sees a lot of usage. And he's going up against Buffygum, playing Don 100, which is very bad. So we'll go through the deck reviews and then we'll get back to it. Right, so this is Buffygum's deck, and he's playing as the Don 100, which I have a guide on. It's 1.5 hours long, and he said he watched this before making his deck. As you can see, it is almost identical. The only differences are he doesn't bring the self-propelled AA, which I think is a mistake, and we'll get into why. And he doesn't bring the Comendera Usilania, so that he can bring the unspeakable one instead. That's not a bad idea. You can definitely do that because you already have two specialist anti-infantry units here, so you don't really need a third one. The reason I bring it is for the military police vehicle to help buff up my tanks, which even though they're not reservist, do suck a lot. So yeah, you can get rid of that if you want, and bring this for just a bit more anti-tank, because you don't have the metas, and frankly your anti-tank kind of sucks. The alternative would be, because yeah, you bring this with the AT for a bit more anti-tank, in the gas. Just watch the guide, yeah, but you could like bring this at 2 vet or something, right? The other thing was this, right? So when you're sending this round the side to kill people, they're going to send a helicopter to kill it because a plane can't see it. So they'll send a helo to kill it. And so that's what this is for. It goes with the helicopter. It goes with the BRDM2. It is actually, I believe, slower on the road, so it does fall behind a little bit. But yeah, it just comes and kills the helo, and then your backline action continues, and it's very, very, very frustrating to deal with. This is more of a frontline tool in that if a helo flies over the front lines, you'll shoot at it. But usually they just run away. It really depends who you're facing. I don't want to be like an elitist prick about it, but if you're against a really good player, he's going to spot this and immediately nope out of there. If you're against some pleb who doesn't know what they're doing, they're going to fly right over it. And once you get so far in, because it's very difficult to turn back around, you're dead because you can't get out in time. So at the very least, I'd consider upvetting this. Do you really need 8 of these, given that you've also got grenade launchers and so on? Yeah, his opponent, not MJ, big meta fan. Really likes the medium tank divs. So basically, medium tanks are meta. Would I say first Spanish is meta and ranked? Probably not, because you might end up against an air spam div, which this isn't, but you might end up against an air spam div, and then you've had it. But in tournaments, first Spanish is really popular because you know what you're going into, and then you just spam a bunch of medium tanks and win. That's just the way it is. You know, a lot of people at the top of the ladder are obviously gonna play whatever's optimal because they want to win. I mean, that shouldn't be particularly surprising. So yeah, first Spanish sees a lot of play. It is very strong. It's just it has a fatal weakness against enemy air spam, particularly if these die, and it's weak against helicopters because you don't have man pads or anything. Even though these guys got the minstrels before the Belgians did, but in this game the Belgians get all the minstrels apparently, and I've had people defend that to me by saying, yeah, but that's so the reason they don't have them is because the Belgians got them all. Right, okay, so in this completely fictitious war, right, you've now just headcanoned a completely fictitious justification for gimping the Spanish nation in this game, right? Like, do you understand the barriers are in your own mind, right? Or what about, okay, World War III was happening, so they built another factory and hurried things up a bit. Why is that any less realistic than, oh, the Belgians slurped up all the imaginary minstrels in the imaginary war in the imaginary video game? What can I say? Anyways, Apodors are pretty busted right now because they get the 10-7-5 vet curve, and SMGs are really good now, like all of them. But basically, he's not bringing enough infantry here, and that's a big mistake, because what if you get a map like Factory? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So this is the issue with taking first Spanish into ranked. In tournament games, you know what you're in for, right? You just ban all... The meta in tournaments is so disgusting. They just ban all the wide maps, right? Because basically, the admins for the tournaments don't put all of the maps in the pool. They only put some in, and they'll only have some wide maps, so that the guys who win the tournaments, every single game, they ban all the wide maps, so you're left with Ica and Mount River. And then they just spam tanks on Ica, spam tanks on Mount River. The finals before this one was won by first Spanish on Ica, and it's just gross. It makes me want to throw up. But hey, that's just the way it is, right? Anyway, it doesn't have enough infantry. Typically, you want the grenade launchers, because what happens if you get a map like Factory? And then they complain to Eugen about the maps in the ranked map pool, so that they can get more narrow maps in. I'm not saying this guy in particular does this, but I know the people who are doing this. It's just so disgusting. Anyway, so yeah, this div really struggles against healers, because you don't really want to chuck a 260 point at a helicopter, and you don't really get man pads and stuff. So basically, this is your closest thing to a man pad. This is a 20mm cannon that can go in buildings, but you want it at one vet or it doesn't do anything. And the reason why he's brought it at no vet is because he just doesn't have any infantry, because he's spamming out Exploradora the Explorers, apparently. So he wants some kind of heli rush. You don't need 6 of these. If you're going to do that, you certainly don't need 6 of them. So he's clearly trying some kind of wacky strat where you spam MLRS. I guess on Factory that can work, because you just stabilize the front lines and spam MLRS. But generally this is not a good idea. And he'd be much better off bringing more infantry. And basically you'd want the grenade launchers, so that you can upvet this, so that your AA is not as bad. This thing, I mean, people bring it because they're like, I need a bomber. I prefer the rocket plane, because it can still hurt infantry. But it's, it's cheap, you get more of them, so you can kind of use it against helicopters. The other one is this, because having 2 cards of expensive fighters, when your AA isn't very good, is actually very difficult. Because you end up not being able to afford your fighter when the air battle's happening, and your ground-based AA is not going to contribute, and it's not great. So there's lots of things I would do differently, but basically he's brought a 3rd card of supply so that you can spam rocket RT, and that means that he doesn't have any infantry, so you understand how he's got into this situation, right? So let's cast the game. Right, so from that, you understand that actually Don 100 has a chance here. MJ's gone for this, he's clearly just trying something out. Trying to spam rocket RT, so he's not brought a lot of infantry at all. He's got loads of tanks, but not a lot of infantry, and he wants to spam rocket RT, so that can work on this map, in that, because the Fusileros C90 are basically underpriced. You get 11 dudes for 55 points with a souped-up 84. Actually, I think it's got better damage than an 84. So they are underpriced, and so you can win infantry fights with this div, and the Zappadors are overperforming at the moment. But he's not really brought a lot of infantry. But essentially what he wants to do, I assume, is... And this is a nice map for this, because there's just this, generally. It's quite easy to hold down the flanks. Stabilize the front line, buy both Turrells, and just sit there hitting everybody with... hitting his opponent with rocket artillery for 40 minutes, right? So his opponent is playing Don 100, which honestly is not a very good div. But in this situation, it's got a pretty good chance, because he's got grenade launchers, he's got Sapere RPO, he's got the shotgun guys, he's got the coffin launchers, he's got, long-range AA to cover the mid, and he's got decent artillery for counter battery, the Jatsons. His tanks are absolutely awful, and his infantry AT sucks. So essentially, he can win the infantry fights in mid, but he will probably lose the tank fights in mid. well, undoubtedly he would lose the tank fights in mid, because his infantry AT is terrible. He's got nothing that can kill this. In general, the NATO medium tanks are pretty good against pack divs because the Conquer's regular doesn't one-shot them, whereas the Milan 2 does. So NATO medium tank divs struggle against other NATO divs because the NATO ATGMs are generally better. So yeah, that's not ideal. What I will say is that I have a guide out for Don 100, which Buffygum has been very much inspired by because he told me. And the first example is me against 2nd Panzergrenadier on Factory. And you see the issues I'll run into there. It's very much worth watching, at least the first bits, you know? And basically, I foresee problems. And the problems are he will be able to kill the enemy infantry, but he will really struggle to kill the enemy tanks. And notmj is a very good tank player. Medium tanks are very popular, and every time I see him, he's on a tank div, so he's very good with them. Essentially, you know, you just roll up here, shoot, go back, roll up here, shoot, go back, and the enemy just can't really kill you. T62s are really bad, and when he buys some, I'll point out why. So, looking at the deployment, we've got a bunch of recon tanks, so the recon tanks really shouldn't be 4 per card at 1 vet on this div. That was an unnecessary buff before it was realised how good First Spanish is. Just to put it in perspective, the rank 1 player plays a lot of First Spanish and he thinks it's the best div in the game. And he's the rank 1 player, he's called Walastar. So, yeah, he's got the Jeannettes, he's got good infantry AT, so he can kill the BMP2s with 1 hit, he can sort out the T62s. But yeah, a bunch of recon tanks backed up by some AA, some Milan 2s, and he's only got 2 infantry. 3 infantry. So not a whole lot of infantry because of the way his deck is structured. 1 CV, going down the centre Boris, and 1 Vec, which is taking quite an aggressive stance. What if the BRDM2 uses this road? I don't watch these ahead of time. Switch into his opponent's deployment. You've got a BRDM2 using this road, so that should get round the side. And yeah, I mean, it's if he gets those TRLs with the BRDMs, then it's lights out, right? Because then how does he do anything in mid if he sacrificed all his infantry to bring rocket RT? So that's the plan, I guess. And then we've got bear cuts, so watch the guide. I go through the opener and how to do it. The double bear cut opener is pretty common because you would expect for Spanish to do a helicopter deployment. Usually they open Gazelle Hots and Gazelle Pew Pew, Gazelle 20 mils, whatever it's called. It's the German one, but it's basically the same as the French one. And these would kill those because they've got like a mega gun on it. I know it looks like a flipping fruit basket, but be under no illusion that is like one of the best helo guns in the game. And so I guess that's why he's not doing it, because he assumed that these would kill him. Like I said, it's a very high level game. So that makes a lot of sense. And he's got lots of anti-helo, so maybe that was in anticipation. But yeah, no grenade launchers and stuff like that. He just doesn't bring a lot of infantry. And then that's backed up by Unspeakable One, Saperi RPO, a bit of AA, the Bofors, a bit more AA, the I think you'd want to put that slightly further back or it just won't shoot because this will be in the way. I think. The issue is if you put it too far back, somebody might see you and then they blow it up with RT, so that's a pain in the neck. Couple BMPs without ATGMs, so he's really going to... Basically, the Spanish player should just put guy there, guy there, guy there, and then just outrange everybody, and the Conquerors won't one-shot him, so he doesn't have to worry about that. And yeah, the T62s, which suck, so let's cast the game. Right, so they're off, and it's time for me to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. They get their names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members-exclusive videos. One join at the lowest level is worth 2,000 views. If you're feeling bad about your ad block, it's a great way to support the channel. And yeah, the other counter to the bear cut is just the Vec with the Bushmasters, probably going to kill that. So this is a difficult opener for Buffygum. He should run away when he sees this, or use both of them to shoot it. At the highest tier, you get your games cast at a rate of 1 a month. So if you want your game cast, you can get your game cast, right? and everybody can see. And yeah, so you see the issue, the Vex just kill you. So he did put 2 of them on it, but he's going to lose both his bear cuts. To be honest, I should have pointed that out. That actually the bear cuts, yeah, they should go forwards to spot the gazelles. And then just go straight back so that the Vex don't kill him. Like, that's really bad, because he's just lost all his recon helos. This got caught out. Damn, I didn't realize it would see it there. So, I guess because it's recon deployed, it went a bit faster than I thought it would. So, yeah, you can expect this to be actually just a very, very difficult battle for Dom 100. It's got the tools to kill loads of infantry. So then all your opponent has to do is swap into tanks. And the micro is harder with the tanks, because you can't get too close. You got to have like an infantry in front to make sure that you don't get side shot by something. And these suck, because they've got 50% accuracy, but they fire, right, and this is when they're vetted, right? The base is 45% accuracy, and they fire like 6 rounds a minute, so once every 10 seconds. So what tends to happen is they miss, and then they just get exploded, and they don't have smoke, so they can't get out of the way. So they really should be cheaper, because people just look at the gun, AP, and the armor, because those numbers are very big. They're like, wow, it's good. But the soft stats are the worst in the game. It's slow, it fires really slowly, it's got low accuracy and it can't smoke, and it's got the minimum range gun. So you slowly get up to the enemy while he's shooting at you. You cannot disengage because you don't have smoke, and then you shoot, and then you miss. So, very, very... these are basically the hardest tanks in the game to use. Because the other T-62s get like 80 gems and stuff, but the T-62s in this div don't. So, my prophecy has immediately come true. He can't kill the tanks. So what's he do? What does he do? So, he's bought his mega tank. So this is one such solution, is that you actually have a 2,800 meter range ATGM tank. So you put that there, and then you can cover the main roads. But yeah, generally you're going to be like, how the hell do I kill this armor? And your best infantry AT is 18, so you don't even, you know, you can't even kill these. You don't have like, these guys get the Jeanettes, which is 18, but it fires twice as fast. So that's more useful in this specific case. It's got less ammo, but it fires faster. So tends to be more useful when you pop into a building. You want to obviously fire twice as fast. So it's this minimum range. So there you go. Now we've got a 3 artillery purchase, which is not smart, and you shouldn't do that. You should buy your artillery 1, and then some infantry, and then 1, and then some tanks. You know, if you buy 3 arty at once, even they are cheap, right? So it's just over 1 minute's income. You lose a lot of momentum on the front line. Have you noticed there's just no, like, his only reinforcements were purchased beforehand, right? But there's just nothing here now, right? There's nothing coming. Whereas his opponent has, you know, more reinforcements. This is an arty piece, but you understand? But these aren't that expensive. If they were 200 points, it would be a bigger deal than if they're 100 points. But generally, you want to mix it up. And yeah, this is the advantage of them. So they have a 30% accuracy, mind you, direct fire gun. And so they can actually defend themselves against stuff like that. It just nailed it on the first hit, but even if it didn't, it's got 9 rounds. And so, you know, you wouldn't expect the BRDM2 to kill that. So, yeah, it's going terribly for Oman. And it's not particularly surprising. The div is very weak. It's going up against one of the more popular divs in the game. And it's just not doing very well. And, like, so that was just good luck, basically. They were both very low. And his hit and his opponent's didn't. But the point I was going to make is that, like, the AMX should have just smoked there and backed off and healed, whereas this can't disengage. Although, like, this doesn't have AT, so... I think if MJ keeps playing, which I assume is going to happen, he will eventually run into the problem generated by his lack of bringing any infantry. Because, like, this is basically just going to keep killing his infantry. And if you don't have more infantry, well, you're going to run out. The thing is, he's got a bit more than you might think. So that has an APS system on it, but I guess it didn't kick in that time. So that's somewhat unlucky, but he won that tank fight, and that was somewhat lucky. So these things do balance each other out. I have seen the APS work against that missile before. Sometimes it just doesn't because I think it's too fast, but I think it depends if it gets like a good run up, if it sees it, you know, if it's facing the right way, that sort of thing. So, taking advantage of Spain's bad AA, but he's actually got 3 AA pieces. Have you noticed they did literally nothing? It's because they're not vetted. And they're not vetted because he doesn't have many cards of infantry. Because if he had the grenade launchers as well, he could leave the grenade launchers down vetted and vet this. It would be way better against kilos. Because, you know, obviously the smooth brains emoji will say, well, 10%, you know, plus 5% accuracy doesn't matter. But if it goes from 10% to 15%, that's a 50% damage boost. Do you understand? Because, you know, you've got the base accuracy and increased it by 50%. So it's a big deal on things with low accuracy to upvet them. If it fires really fast, if it fires really, which this does, if it fired really slow, you probably wouldn't notice. But if it fires really fast and it's got very low accuracy, then upvetting it makes it really good. And that's the same story for those Beauforts I was talking about, and I said you should upvet the Beauforts, that's why. So he's got through the gap that was generated in his reinforcement line from buying all the RT. It was only like 1.5 minutes, so it's not too much. See the problem, see the problem, see the problem, understand the problem. The T-62s suck and they need to get cheaper. It's just there's a lot of player psychology that goes into this. And if you make one number absolutely massive, people will think that number matters more. I mean, it's just the way of things. You can't pretend that you're somehow above it. You are a human being. But he's not got any infantry. He massively overbought on tanks. He's bought nothing except tanks for 3 minutes. And now he's realised, oh, I don't have any infantry. And as long as the infantry moves between the buildings adequately, like here to here to here is an easy one. Getting across this gap's a bit harder because you can get shot by whoever's down here or whatever. Then you can move up. You can continue to move up. Where's that coffin launcher? Oh, there you go. We spoke about the Jiatsin being good counter battery. He's not got it. He should have put a CV next to it because it would have aimed faster. Yeah. So yeah, the T-62s, I mean, this is the one with slightly more range but still doesn't have smoke. I still think they're overpriced. But he's doing a good job with his infantry, and his opponent, I know he said he doesn't have a lot of infantry, but he's got 3 cards of recon infantry. So actually he's got a lot more infantry than you might think. Oh, what? Did you see that? That was the epic tank tricking. You should always do that. So what you do is you shoot with the ATGM, and then you switch off the gun, so it shoots with the ATGM, and then you switch the gun back on, and then it will fire one and then the other immediately. And it makes the tank do a lot better, because it's, I wouldn't say it's firing twice as fast, because you do that once, and then you fire 2 guns with the tank. You fire 2 bullets with the tank gun, and then you switch it off again to fire the ATGM. So that was very powerful gameplay. This is his only tank with smoke, so I expect to see him taking advantage of that. You can't afford to lose those. They're the only thing you've got that could actually fight these guys. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. But yeah, he's also taken advantage of Blue's very weak anti-helo AA. Because what are you going to do? Buy a 2 million point F-18, try and kill him with that. The other thing you can do as red is smoke. He's got some very nice smoke mortars. And you smoke there, and then this one would be the one to go for. You would smoke here, and then you can go kill this. So yeah, MJ, he's running out of infantry already. I mean, he's got plenty of cards of infantry still left. Like he wouldn't actually run out of it. Sorry, I've got a very itchy face apparently. It's all that coke I've been doing. He wouldn't actually run out of infantry until, like, you know, at least 10 more minutes. But he's not buying enough of it. It's focusing mainly on the tanks, and that sort of makes sense, but you need infantry in front of the tanks. That actually did something. This was the thing I was talking about, so it goes from 15 to 20% accuracy, and that's a big deal. That's a 33% damage boost, right? And you see the higher the base accuracy is, the less it matters that you've got 5% more accuracy. But yeah, honestly, I think buying the arty really fucked him over, and it's something people don't really think about. Because he bought this arty, it's not really killed anything, and like it's helping win this fight, but each of these is 100 points. You know, you gotta buy this as well, but forget about that. But you notice they can't disengage. They're in a fight. What the hell do? They're really slow, so they turn slowly. So if you try and get out of the way without smoking, because you can't smoke, you get side shot. So it's very, very hard to use these tanks. But yeah, imagine if he had 4 more. Actually, so each of these, including if you include the supply, each of these is 2 of those. Imagine if he had 6 more Fusileros a couple minutes ago instead of these arty pieces. So we talk a lot about don't buy your arty too early, don't buy your planes too early, and you know, in the moment, even some of the best players in the game can make these mistakes. Where they're like, I gotta buy my... Oh, the coffin launcher went down there, that's a tough loss. Got sniped between this gap here. That's a very tough loss. Now he's CV maxing. Still no infantry. Imagine if he had 6 more Fusileros C90 in that fight, instead of the 3 arty pieces. Well, how do you think that would have gone? He would have obviously won, and he never would have lost the zone. Yeah, I mean, it really is that simple. So don't buy your arty too early. It's hard because obviously sometimes the game is slower and you can afford to buy it. But a general rule of thumb, which admittedly there's lots of times I don't follow this and I am punished for it. Everybody makes this mistake sometimes. I'm not just trying to rag on this guy. You have to just buy 1 and then buy some more frontline, and then buy 1 and then buy some more frontline, right? And that's just if you get into that rhythm, then you end up on top, because yes, there might be situations where, oh, I could have bought both them, right? But that's not as bad as, oh, I just lost the middle zone because I overbought arty, right? So yeah, I would love to see Red engage in some smoking. He's bought his next coffin launcher. Those are useful, especially given how little infantry his opponent's pooping out. But yeah, the Zappadors need to get their vet curve changed, I think. The reason they're smoke and reverse, you've got the power, you outrange him. Snake! He's only got 5 of those, and they're at no vet. You really got to take care of them. That's the one he bought before. This is like a super eye-hawk. I'm not sure what the second missile was. What was the second missile then? 'Cause it didn't shoot that fast. Did it kill itself? Either way, you fly right over this like that, it's going to get 3 shots off, and it's got much higher accuracy than a Cub. You see the M108s are dying now, because the Jiatsin outranges them bigly. He never managed to buy those Turels. This isn't the one with the good RPG. If you're Red in this case, you really want to be, like, get another Conkers in there, get a Conkers in there, and buy those guys that come in cars with the 18 AP RPG. This one, maybe? I think it is, yeah. Because you need to kill the tanks, and you can't kill them with your tanks, you know, not efficiently, because your tanks suck. And so you need the infantry, and then you get a smoke mortar. The Zappadors will mess you up, so you have to keep that in mind, but you get the Oman with the shotguns. And you would, you know, you smoke the gap so that you can get across. But here, you're fine, just jump in between these buildings, get into there, and then they're dead, so... But yeah, you can tell notmj was trying something new here. He went for the double Turel, you know, tank spam, not enough infantry kind of gameplay. and you know, you can now learn from his mistake. That doesn't work in 1v1, because yes, you might get a map like Vertigo, you might get a guy who doesn't play very fast, but you also might get a map like Factory, so, where you're like, man, I wish I had some more infantry. Damn, wouldn't that be crazy? So, yeah. Generally, that's how ranked works. I think it's a good thing. If you want sort of... because you get a lot of people... I'm not saying this is anybody in the game. Sadly, I keep having to say this because there's a lot of people who... they're, like, taking personal offense at something I say in a video. So, yeah, that you do get people who sort of demand that the ranked pool be stripped down because, oh, Factory is a bad map. And lo and behold, they really enjoy playing tank divs that aren't very good on Factory. And they're like, oh, well, these maps are bad. And it just, through some sheer coincidence, some completely indescribable twist of fate, they just happen to play a bunch of divs which just happen to be really bad on these maps they don't like. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, you get all sorts of nonsense, like we need to get Eugen to create the map pool so that they can put in less maps that I personally don't like, right? He doesn't have AT, mate. Use your smoke grenades so you don't die. Or you could just die. Big on dying. It's worth noting that the Spanish tanks are actually really, really, really good against infantry. Look, if you fly right over this, its accuracy goes up a lot. So it's not 60%, it's like 80%, 90%. So, and think about, like, that's the second one he's bought now. And he's buying it to kill an 80-point tank. Doesn't make any sense. Here's an idea, why don't you buy a Gazelle hot thing, a bow hot thing, and just put it back here, right? Because the AA is not really pushed up with the guys. Maybe an Igla hits it, right, this one's there, but if it was back here, we could still kill this, that won't be doing anything. But yeah, what Red needs to do is, yes, target the AA, always good target. He needs to get the guys in the trucks that have the 18 AP this. He just needs to buy all of these. Maybe he already has. He should buy the ones that come in the BTR now, and the ones that come in the BMP now, because he needs AT here to kill these tanks. But basically, the double 50 cal kills... I think it kills infantry faster than one autocannon. It's really dumb, but... there it is. But yeah, he's not got enough... You could bring this over and then it would side-shot these. He's taking advantage of the weak Spanish AA. notmj does not have a fighter up, so he's suffering from that as well. But he's not killing these. He probably should have prioritized these, you know, but I don't think he can see them. Oh, good micro there. He gets out of the way before he bloody dies. Always nice. He needs infantry with AT. He needs to stop buying the tanks. They're not helping him. They don't do anything, so... That was a good shot. What? Ow! That was very close. I was like, will it one-shot it? Look, it fires twice before he even fires once. Oh, the T-62s are good because I read that this number here is very big. And sadly, you know, my caveman brain sees big green 11, big green 18. Wow, must be a good tank. What a good tank. Please ignore the fact that my enemy shoots 2 rounds in the time it takes me to not shoot 1. I'm sure that's completely inconsequential. We need to stop putting toothpaste in the water, man. Then people will stop having cave brain and can move towards a brighter future where T-62s aren't grossly overpriced. The Chieftains had the same problem for ages, and they're still kind of very slightly overpriced. I think the Chieftain Mark 11 should still be cheaper, but basically they're like the cheapest... the most expensive tanks that don't have 3 top armor. They suck against infantry. They're very slow. But people just see big pen number equal big good, and they just completely ignore the fact that All of these soft stats make them really bad in most cases, apart from I shoot, right? But there's more to life than I shoot. But yeah, after Hearst Hero gets released, I'm gonna be trying to make an RTS game, so it'll probably flop, but at least the next time somebody tells me, bro, it's got 18 pen, it one-shots the BMP2, the Heat one does, I can just say, yes, thank you for your feedback, and then just completely ignore them. So, see this, right, and you're like, oh, it killed that, Hippie, it killed that. Maybe that's because his opponent was a blistering barnacle who could have reversed and not got shot, could have smoked and not got shot, and got unlucky. So 3 things were wrong there, 2 of which were entirely in his control. The Hippie, the number, it's so big. Anyway, Blue's completely fucked. I mean, you really should just surrender. I guess he doesn't want to. Right, I need to send that clip to somebody very specific. You know who you are if you're watching, because you've just received it. Did you notice that this HE thing just killed 2 tanks in one pass? That's why it costs a lot, because it could theoretically kill like 4 targets in one pass. It can kill, because it's the salvo length's 2. You can theoretically kill either 2 medium tanks, 1 heavy tank, it depends if you get it on the side armor, or like 4 infantry in one pass. That's why it costs a lot, because the missiles are fucking massive, and they resupply really, really quickly. He did get wounded though. Anyway, this game's over. Blue's basically out of ideas. He's got no units. He just doesn't want to lose to flipping Don 100. So, right, I should have switched off the gun, fired with the AT. Look! Right, that one gets smoke though. That's the only one that gets smoke. Smoke is very, very useful. So, there is some kind of revitalization here, mainly because his opponent just refuses to put infantry with AT in this square here. I don't understand why. He's actually bought some for here, that's great. But he's got 2 here, well they should be here. And then you go from this building to this building to this building. And then like, what does he do? He can't fight across this entire area with his tanks if you have infantry and AT anywhere in this square. Instead you're trying to play whack-a-mole. Get in the building, run for the building, and then get to this building, and then you shoot it in the front, shoot it in the back. If he had killed it, that means it's a good tank. Yeah, I'm really surprised he's still playing this. Like, he has lost. He doesn't have any infantry left. I believe he has now run out of infantry. And so he's just buying tanks. And his opponent, to be fair to him, is also just buying tanks. But he will eventually get some infantry with AT in here. Eventually it'll happen. So 15 minutes left. Yeah, Blue's got no shot. I'm just going to speed it up because it's embarrassing. Oh, okay, he realizes in 20 seconds. So I assume this is going to get in. It's going to get blown up. Well, there you go. And then this guy walks back in, and then that must be it. So yeah, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is, please stop drinking paint thinner. The T62 is a bad tank. But yeah, if you over-specialize your deck for lots of tanks, lots of arty, and then you go into ranked, sometimes you'll get Vertigo and it'll go great. And sometimes you'll get Factory Duel, and it won't. So, Buffygum is rank 463. This is what happens when you play Don 100. And notmj is rank... oh, it's gone down. I guess must be the Spanish thing. First Spain, really good div in tournaments, but if you go into ranked... to be honest, he could have won that if he just spec'd his deck properly. But generally, if you play first Spanish and you go into ranked, you get like Albion military base duel against a div with Cubs and T80. So it's just like, well, it's just over. So it is hard. But look at that. His tank micro was certainly on point for like getting both coffin launchers. Like that one clearly did very well. But his RT purchase kind of fucked him over. But it takes time to kick in. You buy it, and then like 5 minutes later, you start losing, and you're like, why? And it's because you've essentially got like a pipe of reinforcements dribbling into the middle, and if nothing comes through that pipe here, then a couple of minutes later, there's nothing here, right? And then you lose. But it takes time for this to go here, so don't buy your RT too early. Imagine if he had 6 more Fusiliero C90 in the middle at that crucial point when Buffygum pushed mid. Imagine if you had 6 more Fusiliero C90 instead of those 3 RT pieces, which frankly didn't do anything. And they all died. It could be said, well then Buffygum had to buy RT to kill this RT. Yes, but by the time this RT was shooting, you know, Buffygum's power spike is already built in. Because you've bought the RT, and now your reinforcements aren't coming. In 2 to 3 minutes time, your reinforcements are not going to show up here. Right? So when your reinforcements don't show up here, let's say you buy the RT at 30 minutes, your reinforcements don't show up here at 27 minutes. Well, Buffygum still has a full pipe, so he's still got 3 minutes of income to push with, right? Even if he buys the counter battery now, hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, have a lovely day.